watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. High winds bringing chilly weather to the DMV. The heavy breezes continue this afternoon. Meteorologist Damon Matson joins us now with the latest check on the forecast. Damon, the sun is shining, but that wind is blowing.
I mean, could you hear it out there yesterday,
yeah.
Mark? My goodness, that was a strong storm system and cold front that brought in these very strong winds, of course, causing some problems across the DMV over the weekend. Now, thankfully, as we go throughout the rest of the day, the kind of gusts that we saw yesterday and last night will not be happening any longer. But look at some of the strongest wind gusts across the area. Over at Camp David, 76 miles per hour. That is nearly hurricane force right there. Stabilisville in northern Frederick County, also up to 74 miles per hour. And then we did have a solid amount of 60-plus gusts, including over at Reagan and Dulles at the airports there. So that was a lot of wind that rolled on through on Sunday. Here's where we're at right now with those current gusts. We have 41 miles per hour just recently in Leesburg there, 44 Hagerstown, 53 Kaiser. But across the southern half of the DMV, things are starting to improve a little bit. It will certainly still be windy out there, but the strongest gusts of 60, 70 plus are now over with. And we'll have to check in. That wind advisory that was out there for a good portion of the area was set to expire at noon. We'll see if they extended that here. They likely just put that out a minute or so ago. But the wind is still driving the snow around, so blizzard warnings unfortunately remain in effect out across some of our mountain counties because of the snow they picked up and the consistent wind we will see the rest of the afternoon. So expect it to be chilly. Air temps will only reach around 40. The wind likely to make it feel about 10 degrees colder. But hey, at least we have some sunny skies, no longer dealing with any additional precipitation or storm systems today. Now, as we head toward the middle of the week, different story. We're tracking a potential bit of snowfall for Wednesday into Thursday. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. And those strong winds across the DMV causing a lot of damage. Take a look at this. Many people still without power. More than 1,400 across Maryland and D.C. and over 4,000 in Northern Virginia. DC News Now's Yamari Sase spoke to neighbors and has a closer look at the damage.
Yeah, it's still pretty windy out here, but not compared to what we saw Sunday evening. Strong winds actually caused this tree to split and fall on this home in Kensington, taking down power lines with it. And some neighbors say they finally got their power restored, while others not yet.
It's a lot of weight. It's very dangerous. The thing shifts and it can kill somebody. I mean, don't look at it. That thing must weigh thousands and thousands of pounds.
Strong winds Sunday evening caused this large tree in front of this Kensington home to fall.
I don't know how these people are going to be able to pay to get that all cut up and removed. I mean, it can cost thousands of dollars to do that.
Luckily, there was no damage to the home, but it did bring down power lines, leaving neighbors like Thomas Martin without power for hours.
I ran to Home Depot, got a generator, and made sure that all the food stayed frozen. Given what those poles look like and what those wires look like, the power lines, I couldn't believe that they fixed this fast. I just woke up in the morning around 5:30 a.m. and the lights were all on in my house.
But unfortunately, not everyone was lucky. This neighbor who did not want to go on camera tells me she still doesn't have any power. In D.C., heavy winds took down outdoor seating at Las Placita restaurant near Navy Yard. And the Chesapeake Bay Bridge was also closed for some time before reopening under wind restrictions. Now, as crews continue to repair power outages and damage across the DMV, Martin says people should pay attention to the conditions of the trees on their property.
Your tree looks like it's dying and it looks like it's going to, could potentially lean over. It could smash your car or even hurt somebody potentially.
Now, if you see any down power lines like this, officials are encouraging you to avoid the area and contact 911. For now, reporting in Montgomery County, I'm Yamari Sase. Back to you guys.
Yamari, thank you. Developing now in Maryland, Prince George's County police say a man was killed in a shooting. They say it happened just before 7 last night on East Marlboro Avenue near East Spring Street. That's in Hyattsville. Police confirm the man died on the scene. It's not known what led up to the shooting. As police continue to investigate, we'll update you as we learn more. Well, an investigation is underway after police say that 3 people were shot in broad daylight in Northeast. Investigators were called to Minnesota Avenue near Benning Road on I-295 yesterday afternoon. They found 3 men shot, 1 breathing, the other 2 men were not. MPD's homicide unit was called to the scene. No suspect descriptions have been shared at this time. Well, the death of a popular DJ and barber who died last November is now being ruled a homicide. Brian Smith died nearly 2 weeks after being assaulted. The two teens accused of assaulting him were previously charged with robbery, and D.C. police are now looking to file additional charges against the suspects. The Northern Virginia Medical Examiner's Office now believes Smith died of blunt force trauma. His assault was reportedly part of a string of crimes allegedly committed by a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old last fall. They were arrested after being caught on the security camera and charged with robbery and assault with intent to commit robbery. The details of the incident still shocking to neighbors.
I think it has to go with home, parental. I think parents need to be more involved in the children's life. You know, they have access to too many weapons.
Detectives are currently working with the Office of the Attorney General on additional charges. The National Transportation Safety Board releasing an update on their investigation into the mid-air collision over the Potomac. They believe that the Army helicopter may have missed some communications from air traffic controllers. On the night of January 29th, the control tower told the Army helicopter to pass behind the American Airlines jet. The NTSB now believes that the helicopter may not have heard that command. They also think that the helicopter pilot should not have been wearing night vision goggles. Some experts tell us that night vision goggles can actually hurt more than help when you're flying.
You just can't see them, even with goggles on. Goggles actually make it worse down there. It's so bright. So a lot of times we would flip our goggles up going through that area.
It might not be the direct cause, but it certainly could be a potentially contributing factor.
Well, this isn't the first time these goggles have been linked to flight issues. Back in 2015 and also in 2016, pilots on Black Hawk helicopters nearly crashed due to the goggles obstructing their vision. Well, if you're flying out of DCA soon, just know that there's currently less parking at the airport. Starting today, 850 parking spaces will be removed from the economy lot. Officials say that they need to close off a portion of the lot because of construction on a new parking building. Now, the only way to guarantee a parking space at the lowest price is to book one through DCA's website. And the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, the panel headed up by Elon Musk, continues to make sweeping cuts to the federal workforce. In its first weeks of work, DOGE has laid off thousands of employees. The panel now turns its attention to the Internal Revenue Service. Our Haley Milon takes a closer look.
Filing deadline is 57 days from today, and the agency could lose thousands of workers. Earlier in the month, IRS employees were told that they couldn't accept a deferred buyout offer offered to most federal workers. The workers facing cuts at the agency are probationary. That means that they may be new to their position and maintain that probationary status for a year or two. The IRS is one of several agencies targeted by Elon Musk and his DOGE associates. On Saturday, staffers at the Food and Drug Administration were notified that their positions have been terminated. It's unclear how many people there lost their jobs, but positions reviewed the safety of food and tobacco products in the U.S. DC News Now is tracking unemployment data here in the district. Now, keep in mind the figures I'm sharing with you don't reflect the most recent federal workforce cuts, but in January, there were 3,800 new unemployment claims in DC. There were 475 in just the first week of February. Our area is home to hundreds of thousands of federal workers, though that does include a large swath of military personnel who appear unaffected by DOGE cuts so far. I talked to an HR expert, Dan Space, who is offering advice for workers facing job loss.
And especially what I find is when I consult for federal employees that many of them have very long tenures. So I think us, especially in corporations, especially if we've survived a little bit of the pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, a lot of us are used to 2 to 3 year stints. Like we don't get quite as invested or committed, especially if you're a little bit early in your career. Federal employees is the opposite. You find a lot of people, this is their first and only job. And the more 5 years you have at a place, the more embedded that you feel within it.
Space says to waste no time in polishing up your resume and jumping into the job search. He also says immediately get in touch with your unemployment office to begin the process of getting unemployment benefits. Now, all of these cuts are coming as states challenge the legality and the constitutionality of DOGE's access to sensitive government information. I'm Haley Milon. Back to you.
All right, Haley, thank you. After being in 9th place with just 1 lap to go, William Byron overcame the odds and got the win at the Daytona 500. Well, this victory coming after over 3 hours of weather delays and a huge crash on the final stretch of the race. Byron tells us how he got the win.
Such a hard thing to do, just to win one of these and then let alone come back here the next year. Our race didn't go perfect, and so it was a lot of adversity, and really proud of the effort we put in to come down here because we had an amazing car and we did a great job all week, prepared really, really well, and it paid off.
Well, Byron is now the youngest driver to win several Daytona 500s. He's just 27 years old.